Barbie is the very much anticipated film adaptation of the long-running line of dolls of the same name, and is directed by Greta Gerwig and stars Margot Robbie as Barbie, or stereotypical Barbie, who lives among many other Barbies in Barbie Land, a very pink and fantastical world where everything is seemingly perfect, alongside the Kens, with the main Ken being played by Ryan Gosling. At a certain point, stereotypical Barbie starts to have an existential crisis for no explicable reason, and decides to venture forth to the real world to figure out what's happening to her and how she can fix it. Along the way, she realizes that the real world is very different from Barbie Land, and realizes that Barbie hasn't really changed real people, especially young girls, and tries to fix some things when she can, if she can, while also trying to fix herself. Of course, I mentioned other Barbies and Kens who are very notable characters in the film, such as Issa Rae as Presidential Barbie, Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, who is the result of a little girl who, plays with a Barbie too hard to the point of, cutting her hair and using markers on her face and all that. Then there's many, many other Barbies, so many to count, including one played by Dua Lipa, who is a, I think, well-known singer, I believe. I've seen her name every now and then, and just so many. And then also in terms of Kens, you've got Simu Liu, who was a Shang-Chi, who plays another Ken. Then you've got Kingsley Ben-Adir, who was also in another Marvel project, Secret Invasion, who plays Ken. And then you've also got John Cena in a brief cameo as Ken, or specifically Mermaid Ken. It's a whole other story right there. Then you have, of course, other notable roles in the movie, such as America Ferrera as Gloria, the main human woman of the story. Then you've got Helen Mirren as the narrator, who I immediately recognized without having to see the credits, which I don't really need to pat myself on the back about, but I felt good about it. Then you have Will Ferrell as the Mattel CEO. Yes, that's real. Mattel plays an actual part in the story, which makes sense if you heard the synopsis. And we've also got Rhea Perlman as Ruth, who plays a small enough role, but still a very impactful one, I will say. And then finally Michael Cera as Alan, who is Ken's best friend, or at least that's what he is marketed as, because he is also a very real Barbie spin-off doll who was made exclusively to be Ken's best friend, and that is pretty much it. There's also, a brief appearance from Midge, who is also made specifically to be Barbie's best friend. So there is also that. Then you've also got appearances from even more dolls, such as Skipper, who is supposed to be Barbie's sister, growing up Skipper as well, who is also a very real doll, Barbie Video Girl, Sugar Daddy Ken, Earring Magic Ken. Both of those Kens were banned at some point, which is interesting. And so many more that I can't and won't mention because, dear God, there's so many other characters. Now, of course, let's talk about the rest of the movie, the quality specifically, because while I could mention all of the other Barbies and Kens, I don't want to. This film, to start off with my simple opinion, I would say I actually really like this movie. I would say it's good. I did not have high expectations going in, mostly just because Barbie is just Barbie to me. I don't have a strong opinion of her, which is fine. I'm not the target demographic. Not only am I, a man, but I'm also legally now an adult, so I don't, at least now, have much need to be interested in Barbie. But it's fine if you still are, whether you're an adult or you're a man. I did watch the Barbie Life in the Dream House animated show for a little bit with my siblings to prepare, as well as watching the Barbie Princess and the Pauper just because I felt like it, and everyone on the internet was watching that for some reason. Other than that, there's also a lot of talk about the film for multiple reasons. One of those reasons being that it has been memed a lot on the internet so far, specifically being paired with the movie Oppenheimer, which came out the same day as Barbie, but was made by a different studio. But because they're so starkly different in tone, people just started making it a combo movie on the internet, and I found it amusing. I found the meme amusing, and I am following through with it because tomorrow I'm about to go see Oppenheimer. The only reason I saw Barbie earlier than I was expecting to is because I have people I know who wanted to see this desperately, and I was like, okay, I might as well actually watch it. I might as well follow through with this meme, and I wasn't disappointed. And then the other thing well known about this movie is, of course, how feminist it essentially is, because it is a movie about a doll that in some ways is a feminist type of toy, and the film even, goes out of its way to knock down some of the preconceptions that Barbie is a sexist type of toy by literally, having an opening scene where Helen Mirren explains how, before Barbie, little girls only played with baby dolls, which, can be a little fun, but it gets boring after a while. And then, I know it's kind of a spoiler, but the best part about that whole opening scene is that it is a complete parody of the opening scene from 2001: A Space Odyssey, where the apes, or the whatever type of monkey they were in the movie, they find the monolith and they're like going crazy and throwing bones and stuff. But instead of that, the little girls playing with the dolls, when they find Barbie, they start, throwing around the baby dolls and even exploding their heads, which doesn't seem possible for what the doll would likely be made out of. But it's so funny, and I just had to love that. But yeah, all of that paired with the rest of the movie shows that Barbie isn't really what some people think she is, because the idea of Barbie is that she can be anything, because as I mentioned, there's like a bunch of different Barbies with different positions, and while the Barbies in this movie are like completely different actors who have specific positions, most of the time Barbie herself, the specific doll most people think of, has all these different positions, but stereotypical Barbie is just Barbie, and that adds to her existential crisis. And kind of the same with Ken. Ken has his own crisis because Ken is often looked at as Barbie's boyfriend, or just a basic additional doll. But, they comment on that, and it really adds to the movie, so it's not just Barbie's journey. It's a little bit of Ken's journey, but it doesn't, go overboard. It is Barbie's movie, so she gets the focus, but Ken has his moments, and I like that. Because Ryan Gosling is fantastic as Ken. He is really funny, and very, like in a very stupid, adorable way. He's like not always there. He just does weird things, but you gotta love him sometimes. Margot Robbie's also really good as Barbie, of course, and all the other actors do a fantastic job, especially America Ferrera. And the one part where she really gets to shine, where she has this monologue about how women and even people, if you change some of the words around, is about how people really have to tread a very thin line when it comes to behaving around other people. But it is mostly about women. That's what the whole monologue is about, but it's a fantastic monologue no matter how you really look at it. And Rhea Perlman does a great job. She's not really giving a emotional performance, but she helps add to an emotional scene later on in the movie. And I thought she was very interesting, and she's an interesting actress. And again, like all the other actors are pretty serviceable. They have some funny moments. Will Ferrell is, a weird guy. His character, he's like almost a portrait of someone who is, trying to be kind of progressive while owning, running this company. I don't know how to fully, describe him, but if you see the movie, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. And in terms of the overall messages of the film, it's not really bad, I would say. Yes, it kind of goes a little overboard in places. Like, it feels a little what's the word, heavy-handed. That's right, heavy-handed in places, but it's not heavy-handed all the time, and it doesn't feel grating like some movies that also do this. And in terms of its treatment of men, which is something you do look at, you want the story to really put women in a flattering light and really support women, but you've also got to be careful to how you go with portraying men. If you either do it portray men in your story in a passive way or in a maliceful way, something negative, let's say. So that's what I like about this movie. It doesn't really do that too much. Yes, it definitely takes a knock at stereotypical men's toxic masculinity, all that, but that's fine. It's trying to tell you something, and it tells you that thing in a decent way most of the time. It's not hateful. It's not hateful while also just being unfunny and boring, like similar uses of property such as the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot or the 2019 Charlie's Angels reboot, where it really feels like they were focusing too much on the commentary on the message, and also doing that in a wrong way, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I kind of part partway through me first talking about the themes of the movie, so apologies there, but yeah, I like the acting. The design of Barbie Land, like the set design, is really good, and it really feels, plastic, but it also really fits the vibe of Barbie. Very pink, but there's of course other colors, and no shock, but everything's pretty vibrant, and of course the human world does end up clashing with some of the colors and some of the overall attitude of Barbie Land, which makes sense. In terms of the soundtrack, not a lot of like scores, like just simple music. It's mostly comprised of songs. Most of the songs I found mostly nothing I hated or disliked, just stuff that was not my taste. But there were two songs that like really stood out to me and I really liked, that being Just Ken, which I think Ryan Gosling himself sung, and of course it is just about Ken. And then the other is What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish, which shows up further at the end, and it of course perfectly encapsulates Barbie's overall struggle and crisis over her purpose in life, and I really liked that. I liked the song, and I liked those little slivers of emotion in the film, and especially at the end. It was overall an interesting ending, I'll say, and overall it was an interesting movie. And take it from a guy who isn't always sure about stuff like this, because I'm not always great at analyzing messages and if they're truly good or not, unless it's pretty clear that it's not something that I care for. But I like this movie. I mostly like the messages, and I think some of you guys might like it. Obviously a lot of people like it because it's making a lot of money. So yeah, but I guess we'll just see what time tells about this movie. I'm gonna give Barbie an 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this review of Barbie. Did you like it? Did you not? Did you not see it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to like this video and even subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.